We are going to be reading about Africa today. Please follow along as there will be a few words that might be a little strange at first. Let's begin. Africa is the second largest continent in the world, and it is a continent that is unique for its diversity of environment, people, and culture. Africa is geographically divided into two parts: the Sahara Desert, that extends right up to the Mediterranean Sea, comprising countries such as Egypt, Libya, and Algeria, and the larger sub Saharan region, which extends to the coast of South Africa, comprising countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania, and Sudan. Okay, sorry. There are huge, spectacular nature reserves with varied wildlife, and there are also extremely urbanized regions with large cities that contain fascinating skyscrapers and contemporary facilities. There are people who are extremely poor, but there are also people who are extremely rich. There are regions that suffer from severe droughts and famine, and there are regions where food is plentiful. Visiting Africa will definitely open one's eyes to the varied world of this landmass and its people. The population of the African continent is rapidly increasing. In some parts of Africa, as in the Sahara Desert, which is unsuitable for habitation, the population density is low. In other parts of Africa, in particular the less developed countries, despite the birth rate being high, the infant mortality rate and death rate are also high. Over the last few decades, famine, disease, and war have also taken their toll on the people, and this has affected the continent's population growth. In the more affluent African countries that are faring well economically, the birth and death rates are lower, so there is a higher population density. The inhabitants of Africa belong to various ethnic groups with their own distinct languages, traditions, arts and crafts, history, way of life, and religion. So the people from diverse ethnic groups in Africa help to influence, contribute to, and enrich one another's culture. There are more than 50 countries in Africa, with some 20 or more different ethnic groups living within their boundaries. There are also different ethnic groups living in rural Africa with their own traditions and lifestyles that have remained virtually unchanged for centuries. They have lived the way of their forefathers from generation to generation. Their rich cultural heritage is preserved and untouched by the outside world. The people of Africa are mainly of African origin. Some are of Arab origin when their ancestors migrated from their native land and resided in northern Africa. Some others are of European origin whose ancestors moved to Africa during the colonial period. And some are Asians originating from the Indian subcontinent. Some of the well-known ethnic groups in Africa are the Ashanti, Bantu, Bushmen, Fulani, Moors, Pygmies, Swahili, and Yoruba. Let's take a minute now just to discuss what we have read, and then you will read it on your own. So this passage tells us all about Africa. It says it is the second largest continent in the world. It speaks about the two regions in Africa. There is the Sahara Desert, but then there's also the sub-Saharan region. Now, if we continue, it says that there is a lot of wildlife in Africa, and it speaks of different things you're going to see in Africa, like skyscrapers and other contemporary facilities. Contemporary means that something is new and modern. Now, as we continue, it speaks about the population in Africa. It speaks about low population density, which means there's not a lot of people, but then it also speaks of high population density here. Now, the inhabitants of Africa, inhabitants refers to people who live somewhere, okay? And it says that they have many different traditions that have been untouched by the outside world. The last paragraph just speaks of the origins of the people or their ancestors, speaking of where these people have come from. Now it's your turn to read it on your own.